Hi, you're watching Current Issues. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Two popular sports administrators, Suresh Kalmadi and Abhay Singh Chautala, were nominated to hold live presidency in the Indian Olympic Association. And within 24 hours of that, Mr. Kalmadi declined that particular offer. To remind our viewers, Suresh Kalmadi is the same man who went to jail for the Commonwealth Games scam. The political war has already started on to why as this decision was implemented, even though for a day. Sports Minister Vijay Goyal has issued a show-cause notice to the IOA, and former Sports Minister Ajay Maken has charged the BJP of being a party with double standards. Because the BJP leader Anurag Thakur was in the meeting when the appointments took place. Why is it almost impossible to keep sports out of politics, and on what merit are politicians chosen in various sports authorities in India? Let's delve into this debate with our guest, who will give us a further insight as to why two known culprits, if I can call them, who have gone to jail, face charges, usurped a lot of money and time of the exchequer, being considered for this particular post. Ajay Mehra is with us in the studio, former cricketer and commentator and sports thinker. Vidhanshu Kumar, sports writer, sports expert, is also with us, and a very good journalist is also with us in the studio. Mr. Rupinder Singh, former national champion in athletics, is also joining us. Sir, thank you for being here. And we will also have inputs from Mr. Rajesh Bhandari, who is the Vice President of the Indian Amateur Boxing Federation, and he will be available to us via Skype. Okay, Vidhanshu, let's begin with you. You've always been a vociferous proponent, exponent of sports in a clean matter. And, when we talk about the Olympics and the way the Commonwealth Games were conducted and the ugly scam and the ugly legal battles that ensued, one would actually, begin to think that Mr. Chautala and Kalmadi will never be considered in any foray which has anything to do with any sports. And here comes a shocker where both are made lifelong presidents. What do you have to say about the duopoly of this particular announcement?
There's only one word we need: disgusting is the word for it. In fact, when you have Mr. Chautala as the IOA president, even if it is lifelong and even if it is honorary, you are actually violating the Olympic Charter. Not very long ago, 4 years ago, the Indian Olympic Association, they were not recognized, de-recognized rather, by the International Olympic Committee because of having people who are charge sheeted on the board. And then for almost 8 to 10 months, IOA was in a limbo. Then they had to redo their constitution and then, and in fact show Mr. Chautala the door, and then again IOA was recognized. But if you look at the ingenious way and the small loopholes these so-called politicians, in fact they are the politicians and they are the sports administrator, who try to exploit. And the loophole that they have exploited here is that when IOA, when they redid their constitution, they inserted a clause which said that any person who is charge sheeted will not hold any elected office. So now what have they done? They have nominated a person who is charge sheeted, and then found a way around it. So I think this is very crass, something which should be held down by everyone, and sports expects a better administration. And looking at what happened also in Rio Olympics, which was a disaster, even if you compare to London, I think it's a step in a backward direction. Very.
Okay, Mr. Rupinder Singh, sir, coming to you. First of all, we discussed the fetish that a lot of these associations, the sports associations, have with politicians. But now it's come to, be widely popular that sports associations have something to do with tainted politicians. It's probably a saving grace that Kalmadi turned down this offer. Otherwise, it would have caused an uproar, the kind we saw post the 2010 Commonwealth Games.
Yes, perhaps the sad thing is that despite Mr. Kalmadi or Mr. Abhay Chautala having been removed from the Indian Olympic Association, they continue to be in the background, trying to help, trying to organize, and trying to create ways and means in which they can come back. They found that loophole, as Vidushpat has explained, and they got back there whenever they got their chance. So these are ways and means by which tainted officials and other officials are coming into the sports body to remain in the public eye. I think the problem lies with the election and the system of election which allows a cozy club of people to keep rotating the presidentships amongst themselves and being officials in various sporting federations. The irony is the Ministry of Sport cannot read through this. They do not have professionals who can read through what the federations are doing, and this creates a problem.
Okay, Ajay Mehra, coming to you, though the IOA is a private body, but they do receive grants from the government. And, unlike the BCCI, which has had, a good run, if we can call it, in terms of administration, the IOC has continuously disappointed the IOA has continuously disappointed its fans. It's continuously disappointed the people who actually it represents. Do you think the government needs to, probably impact its dependence a lot more on the IOA, have a stricter norm based on the kind of funds that they're giving them, and have a proper audit, not only in terms of the money, the grants that they get, but the way they conduct their administration?
Absolutely. I think, Vineet, this has been, going on for a long time. It's just about you give and take. Have people who have been your, good friends or, allies or whatever you can call it. Because, you compare it with BCCI. I remember in '83, BCCI didn't have much money, but the professionalism they have brought into the game now, you see the youngsters, the academies, the setup they have. I think that's tremendous. And you can learn a lot from the structure that BCCI has created. They have got some fantastic presidents over a period of time, over a long period of time when cricket started in India. And I think that's the reason you see that cricket is now, you see the money in the cricket, how it properly is conducted. I think IOA has to learn, take a leaf out of the book of BCCI, and it's high time now, because once you have right people at the helm of affairs, I think everything will be, settled down. You have to have the right people. You have tainted people. I think nobody's going to, go in for sponsorships or go out throng for that particular sport or that game. I think it's very important to have the right people at the right place. Otherwise, I think the game will suffer, the athletes will suffer, the sport will suffer, and it's going to, it's a shame. What has happened?
Ajay, do you think cricket is a better managed sport in our country?
Absolutely. I feel.
What are the reasons for it?
Vineet, I feel
that is also a private body.
Absolutely. I remember in '83 when Kapil Dev's men, they won the World Cup. BCCI didn't have money at all. They had a Lata Mangeshkar night at the IG Stadium. Then money was brought in. But after that, I think the way they have conducted the sport, the grassroots level, I think the way the cricket has come up. You won World Cups. You won major tournaments. For the reason for that is it's properly conducted. The
right.
under 19, under 15 domestic structure is pretty good. You see the Ranji Trophy now. It's happening at neutral venues. I think full credit to BCCI.
Okay, let's give our viewers a background to who Mr. Chautala is, and let us tell you that he was ousted after the International Olympic Council suspended the IOA in 2012 for electing charge-sheeted officials to the apex body, and has allegedly been controlling, Vidhanshu, has been controlling the association by remote control through former World Squash Federation President N. Ramachandran. As he was elected the new boss in 2014. The Haryana politician, however, has been present at the venue for all the IOA meetings since then, and many boxing fraternity members insist that the former All India Boxing Federation president's vested interest have ensured that the issues of affiliation of a new body has never been resolved. Chautala, in fact, he was adamant that there was nothing wrong in the IOA's decision, and even chided the sports minister Vijay Goel for questioning the decision and asking for an explanation.
Now, how silly can it get? How can you chide the sports minister who's taken a very correct stand, in fact, by reprimanding the IOA for doing this? Remember, the IOC can still do this. There is an Olympic charter. You rightly said IOA is a private body, but it is, however, controlled by the government because of the funding. In certain quarters, the government has the influence, and the International Olympic Council also, because it is affiliated to that, so they have to follow the Olympic charter. And so you can't you cannot do away with this. It's not a wishful thinking that you can find a backdoor entry into this, and this is really a dangerous precedent. If something like this goes through, then you may find that in various federations, and have a look at the various federations also. In fact, this is just the tip of the iceberg, this particular case. And why is it also happened, Vineet, if you look at the background, is that the elections are long overdue, not only in the IOA but various other federations like the archery federations, and the Delhi High Court has passed an order that these elections elections which are overdue have to be completed before 2017 March. So keeping this in mind, all those vote politics has started and people have started to play games, and that's why you see Chautala, even though he is not I mean officially there, but his weight is at every decision that is being made, and that's really silly. And let me also bring in another point here, Vineet. I think we should also discuss is that when sports, I mean all these sports bodies are being administered by the politicians, where is the role of sports person like Mr. Ajay Mehra or various others? Right now we know Abhinav Bindra, he is retired, he is a fabulous candidate. Why can't he head IOA for that matter? And
that's a very good suggestion.
Why should we have only a politician to head the sports body?
Absolutely, and let's get on with Mr. Rajesh Bhandari also, who is the VP of the Indian Amateur Boxing Federation. Mr. Bhandari is joining us on the phone. Thank you for joining us, sir. How seriously will the IOA be taken, sir, once they have made such announcements? What kind of a shock will the athletes be receiving, the athletes who've been at the losing end of things because of the policy of the IOA, the athletes who have suffered at the hands of the IOA and their decisions? And what happens when the IOA actually gets Suresh Kalmadi and Abhay Singh Chautala as live presidents of the IOA? People who have been tainted in corruption, people who spend time in jail, people who have not been exonerated or absolved yet, and they get to come back into that esteemed group, which they were ousted from. What kind of a precedent is this setting? What kind of an encouragement is this actually percolating down to the athletes?
This was also surprising to us also, because this item was not there in the agenda. And we don't know how it comes there when this item was discussed. Even this was not discussed, this was proposed by one of the members, and unanimously this was resolved. Even we were not in favor of doing all this. Hello?
Right. We can hear you, sir.
Yeah. We were not in favor of to bring this item like this for approval of the House. Nobody was knowing that this item is coming. So we have also disassociated ourselves from this. Even we have written to the IOA. We are not party to this resolution.
Okay, let's go across to Mr. Rupinder Singh. Mr. Singh, sir, Vidhanshu made a very notable comment right now. He said that people who have actually won laurels for the country, people who have actually shown sterling and exceptional performance at the highest level of the sport, be it the Olympics, be it the Commonwealth Games, be it the Asian Games, these are the people who actually need to be sitting at the helm of affairs. These are the people who have to be, no pun intended in case of Abhinav Bindra, calling the shots. But here we have politicians who are ousted with great difficulty because of a taint that was attached to them, making their way back into the organization like it is some walk in the park. How sick is this system?
Absolutely. In fact, you don't, because the system is such, and there is a question of getting elected, which Abhinav Bindra and similar kind of sports persons will never get elected. Any genuine person is straying outside the system. It's never going to happen. So for me, it will be okay if the politicians continue to rule the roast, whether it's Suresh Kalmadi, Abhay Chautala, Ramachandran. The people who make decisions must be people like Abhinav Bindra for shooting, Gopi Chand or Prakash Padukone for badminton, a boxer like Vijender Singh for boxing, and so on, so forth. It is the person who is involved with the day-to-day activity and the progress of the sport who can only give back in a positive manner. And as far as the systems go, the one thing that neither the Federation or the Ministry are doing is they are not focusing on the children of India, on the schools of India. All we need to do is go and give them an opportunity. Excellence begins at the youth level, and all we are witnessing is coaches for national teams and what you say, but nothing for the child. Unless we reach that base, we are not going to get anywhere.
Right, unless we actually, build these things from the ground up. Ajay Mehra, when it comes to the BCCI, it is a body which is predominantly very detached from the government, yet they have been able to function in a very efficient manner. The autonomy is probably in question right now because of the Lodha committee and certain recommendations that were made, but we will not get into that. But having said that, the way they have conducted the game of cricket, the way they have implemented things like the IPL and the Champions Trophy, and the way they have actually streamlined the revenue system of bringing in money and actually, disbursing it to players is probably commendable. That is also a body which is detached from the government, does not get too much interference from the government, and even the IOA claims to be an autonomous body, and it says that the decision was made because it's a general autonomous body and these positions are honorary. What can the IOA learn from the BCCI?
First of all, I feel we need this very important for any sportsman, be it a cricketer or any sportsman in any field, to have the financial
Shouldn't the
security.
Lodha committee be probing IOA instead of the BCCI?
Absolutely, I feel, because BCCI has done enough for the players. You see nowadays I see, as a commentator, I see various players who are playing the first class scenario in the IPL. They are so financially well secured. Their future is made. You are earning in not only in lakhs, in crores, per financial year, and that's because of IPL. The domestic structure, the domestic fees for the first class cricket has really improved. The pension, given to the former cricketers, even the widows of former Test cricketers. I think this is a fantastic, schemes launched by BCCI, and I think full credit to them, because you see other sports, we still feel, international players playing at the highest level in other fields, other sports, they are suffering. They are not financially secured even after playing for 4 or 5 years at the international circuit. Why is that? It's not that any sport is bad. I think the way you have brought up, I think the way the sport is managed by the higher authorities, by the administrators, there is something wrong out there. And as Vidanshu very rightly pointed out, you need the right people at the right place. I for one have to question all these other sports where the sports persons are suffering. Why is that? Because it's not their fault. They have worked very hard in life. It's sweat and blood for them, but they are not getting the enough money, enough laurels what they deserve. So I think somewhere down the line there is something wrong as far as administration is concerned in other sports. And you compare with BCCI what they have done, I think that's a great job they have done.
Okay, and Vidanshu, of course, Ajay has brought up a very good point, that the players and, Mr. Rupinder Singh also pointed out that, the grassroots level actually is getting destroyed because of, these malpractices in the administration. But what does, the government need to do? Should their intervention probably increase so as to, there is some fear that the IOA actually upholds?
No, I don't think that intervention has to increase. In fact, taking the parallel between the BCCI and the other sports federation, the one major difference between BCCI and other sports federation is that all of them are independent, but BCCI is managing its own finance. BCCI is not dependent on government grants.
But also, Vidanshu, they have created their own finance.
That,
they didn't have money earlier.
Exactly.
I remember when my father played for India, he was getting rupees 50 per day. Now they are getting 15 lakhs per test match. So there's a big difference, as far as the financial security of a player is concerned, the future is secure. You just play for 1 or 2 years as far as India is concerned, or IPL. Financially you are well off for the rest of your life. That is what I think it needs to be done in other sports as well.
Exactly, that's what I was trying to say. So that's a position that BCCI has gone into, a position of strength, and so they are able to secure the future of the players, domestic and international as well. Same thing has to happen with other sports. So instead of more government interference, I think these sports bodies, they also have to understand the political economy of sport. They have to understand how to run sport as a business as well. And there have been few sporadic interventions, but not such which can be consistent. That is one part, how to economize your sport, make it profitable. And number two is a larger question of sports as a culture, and why youngsters are not going into other sports, or they're not being looked after, as Rupinder Singh sir said just now, is also because that we are not able to develop sports as a culture in the country. And I'll just recount a small talk that I was having with Kapil Dev a few years back, and I asked that why does not India has a sports culture, and he said that is because the day when a grandfather will take a grandson and say, okay, or a granddaughter, let's go for a run, that is the day when sports culture will arrive in India. It's not that you are just looking at TV or globalized mediatized sports and you are very much affected by the glamour and you are getting into it. So I think the issues are very deep. It has a social cultural roots as well, and has to be tackled, and that also, that will only happen if the administration is good enough.
Absolutely, the culture has to be changed, and Mr. Rupinder Singh, politics and sports in our country have always been intermingled, and they are probably like chalk and cheese. They shall never mix, and that is the reason why there is, there is this essence of non-conformity by some of these bodies. Anurag Thakur was present at the meeting, where these two gentlemen were named as lifelong members of the IOA. How to separate the two? How to separate the chaff from the grain? Do you think that is probably going to work?
Yes, it is going to work, but more important is awareness of the people, because this has been going on in the system for 70 years and still no one objects. The Ministry of Sport continues to recognize these kind of people in the Indian Olympic Association, various federations, and continue to fund them. They do not exercise anything of their own because they also have nothing to offer. What does the Ministry of Sport know about sport? Why are they not employing people who are professionally qualified in the sport? Why is Abhinav Bindra not made the Director General of Sports? They could have a Director General of SAI as an IAS officer taking care of the administration, but he cannot take care of the sports. He doesn't know what's happening in the sport in everyday life. Bindra has hit the nail on the head in his report after the Olympics, but are anyone going to listen to him? It has never happened for the last 70 years, and it will not continue to happen if this system prevails. They must question, and in fact, I would go a step further. Individual sportsmen should take their own battles to improve themselves and show these administrators the way. Look at Kenya. They have an equally awful federation taking care of their athletes, but they still win 7 medals at the world. The world at large is willing to help the sportsperson. If a Leander Pace and a Sania Mirza can go abroad and be coached, if Abhinav Bindra can find his own coach and not wait for the federation and the Indian Olympic Association, the other children can do it. We have been spoilt by these administrators and the ministry who continue to support them for the last 70 years and not make a decision of their own. And the sportsmen must now, I think now, the individual sportsmen must take up the challenge and forget federations or the system. In any case, they're doing it despite the system, not due to the system.
Okay, that's a very good and articulated thought, Rupendra ji. And Ajay, Mera, coming back to you, is it time for us to separate, the chain and ball from all the sports authorities and administrations? Because, we spoke of cricket and its autonomy and how it's actually, done so well. I'll give you another example of boxer Vijender Singh, who went pro, loosened all his ties and has done extremely well, has been unbeaten, won his last battle as well against Cheka. There is a recent example, in Vijender Singh that, whenever you actually have the reins in your hand, the chances of you being successful in any particular sport, or for that matter, philosophically speaking, in any sport or any field, should the IOA also consider letting go of some of its powers?
Absolutely. It's high time now. You feel, you take example, Vineet, of BCCI. You were just mentioning about them as well. I just like to make one more point. They have a professional CEO now, who's running the cricket. Of course, you have administrators, you have, the board president, secretary as well, but you have a professional guy who's managing the day-to-day affairs of the BCCI. So why not something like that can happen in IOA as well? You mentioned about Vijender Singh. Yes, he's, shifted now to professional boxing, he's done very well for himself. I think it's high time now people, a sports person who have served your country for a long time, who know exactly how to go about, how to, build players and take them, give them guidance from the grassroots level and then make them international stars. It's high time you go for that. Also out here, Vineet, I'd like to raise a question to Vidanshu, which is very, very important as well, that the rules as far as IOA go, they have stated that a charge-framed person can't be, life president of the IOA. So how come Mr. Kalmadi was out there? It is something which is, baffling to any normal person as well. We are sports persons, but to a normal person as well, I think this is baffling.
it is baffling, and in fact, what the Constitution says is that a charge framed or charge sheet person cannot hold a elected office.
True.
So elected is the keyword here. So now these people, they are not elected; they have been nominated. So now you are bypassing, and you have got a backdoor entry into it. And as rightly discussed earlier in this program, Vineet rightly said that these people, even though they are out, they have been more so. Chautala has been controlling the federations, so they just have to be there. Elections around the corner, so we are seeing all these things happening.
Okay, do you think, Vidhanshu, that the system that the IOA actually runs with and governs by has perished from within, and it is probably time for somebody from the government to wake up and smell the coffee and do something about it?
It has. I mean, it's a sad thing. In fact, if you look at IOA's history, also there have not been many presidents. Presidents have held on for longer periods, 10 years, 15 years on an average. Since 1932, 34, when the body was formed, there have not been more than 9 or 10 presidents. So you can well imagine how long they have held on to their post and what have they delivered so far. So definitely, I think I am with Mr. Rupinder Singh on this, that you have to engage sports persons of good caliber, and you have to give them. They are not going to fight elections. If you ask them, they are not going to fight elections, because I mean, they are just not made to go do around all those things. But yes, you have to have them on board. You have to give them responsibilities, and then you have to have a proper charter. You already have a national sports code, and national sports code, by the way, even in 1975 when it was first formed, then also they had decided that persons above the particular age should not be there. They should not hold office for more than 2 or 3 terms. They have not consistently, all the governments, whether it's the NDA or BJP,
Right,
or Congress-led governments, they have not followed this, and even the revised sports code, they are not following it. So, I mean, the rules are there. I don't think the will is there to change the system, because there is fame, there is money, there is everything else to
and
get
there's
out of-
power. And let's not
to
forget
get
that
out of
these
sports, yeah.
these politicians bring politics into sports, and that is the reason we never win. And they were given honorary posts, but how did they earn this honor? What did they do for the Indian athletes? What did they do when they were presidents of their particular association and administration? Did we gain anything which is so monumental that all of you and even our panelists remember? I think not. And with that note, we'll have to end the show. Ajay Mehra, Vidhanshu Kumar and Rupinder Singh ji, thank you so much for being on Current Issues. That's all we have. We'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time.